At the beginning of World War II, the United States faced a terrifying reality. German U-boats were sinking merchant ships faster than America could build them. Across the vast Atlantic, ton after ton of oil, food, and ammunition went to the bottom. The British Isles were starving for resources, and though American industry possessed limitless potential, it could not overcome one obstacle: time. Building a single cargo ship took up to 8 months. The war would not wait. And then appeared a man no one expected, industrialist Henry John Kaiser. Not an engineer, not a sailor, but a builder of dams and bridges. A man used to winning not through speed, but through organization. He was a civilian, and yet he came up with a trick that changed the course of the war. Kaiser entered shipbuilding with no prior experience, but with an unshakable belief that any task could be transformed into a process. He saw thousands of men laboring on shipyards, cutting metal, welding parts, and yet every new vessel was being built from scratch. Kaiser suggested something radical: to stop building ships like craftsmen and start assembling them like machines. He took the principles of Henry Ford's assembly line and applied them to the shipyard. Instead of constructing ships piece by piece in sequence, he divided them into prefabricated modules, sections built separately in different areas, then joined together like an enormous puzzle. It wasn't just innovation, it was an industrial revolution. And when the project began, most experts thought it was madness. Shipbuilding was a craft passed down through generations, guided by intuition and the feel of steel. But Kaiser was pragmatic. He didn't look for master shipwrights. He hired ordinary workers and trained them for specific tasks: welding, riveting, assembling. For the first time in history, women and African Americans joined shipyard crews in massive numbers. The process was fast, disciplined, and mechanical. Where it once took 230 days to build a ship, now a new Liberty ship slid down the ramp every 4 days. Each vessel, simple, functional, even ugly, became a symbol of efficiency and resolve. The Liberty ship was never elegant. Sailors affectionately called it the ugly duckling or cargo mule. It could carry 10,000 tons of supplies and cross the ocean without escort. But its true brilliance lay in how it was made. Kaiser's yards ran 24 hours a day. Steel arrived on a strict schedule. Sections were welded with mathematical precision, and every minute was accounted for. In 1942, Kaiser broke every record in history. The SS Robert E. Peary was completed in just 4 days, 15 hours, and 29 minutes. The world was stunned. Newspapers called it a miracle. President Roosevelt personally praised Kaiser, calling his work a weapon equal to tanks and bombs. Behind this speed, however, stood not only technology, but human spirit. Thousands of ordinary Americans, many of whom had never seen a ship before, became part of something greater than themselves. Entire families worked side by side. Fathers welded, while daughters operated cranes. They knew they weren't just building ships. They were building hope. When the first Liberty convoys crossed the Atlantic, the tide of the war began to shift. Where U-boats once ruled, now sailed endless processions of gray steel vessels. Too many for the enemy to sink. They became the lifeline of the Allies, carrying everything from food to tanks to the far corners of the world. These ships were not perfect. Some cracked in the waves, others went down in the first battles, but there were simply too many of them. They overwhelmed the enemy with numbers and efficiency. The Liberty Fleet was the logistical miracle that made Allied victory possible. Thanks to them, Britain survived, the Soviet Union was supplied, and America's industrial might became an unstoppable force. Kaiser himself became a symbol of what civilian genius could achieve in wartime. He built shipyards in Richmond and Vancouver, created hospitals for his workers, and even introduced health insurance, a revolutionary idea at the time. After the war, his methods shaped entire industries, from construction to aviation. Today, only a handful of Liberty ships remain, rusting in ports as museum relics. They are not graceful, but they stand as monuments to an era when victory depended not on generals, but on engineers, welders, and dreamers. The Liberty ship is a reminder that wars are won not only with weapons, but with imagination and organization. Kaiser's impossible trick was more than industrial efficiency. It was proof that civilization triumphs over chaos when people unite technology with willpower. His shipyards produced 2,710 vessels, and every one of them was a brick in the wall that stopped tyranny. When the war ended, Kaiser said, "We proved that impossible is only a matter of organization." In those words lies the heart of America's wartime miracle. Liberty ships were not marvels of design. They were marvels of human ingenuity. And because one civilian dared to challenge tradition, the oceans once again became the highways of freedom.